that our guys would be ready if we actually got audited by the TDA or only OSHA?
Excuse me, I just want to make sure I'm recording this just so I don't have to write a million notes.
Sure.
Are you
Yeah,
cool
no problem.
with that, Randy?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I just want to make sure because I don't want to miss anything.
Okay. You said TDA?
Yeah, that's Texas Department of Agriculture.
Oh, yes. Okay. Well, with that, we would like to. We'll give you consultation feedback and try to give you resources to help you, but we wouldn't be the definitive reliance. So we'll consult, because as a co-employer, we do share co-employer responsibilities, but it wouldn't be something that it falls back on us. But yeah, we would say, hey, these are the compliance requests, these are the training, and we can work with you with what we have available, would be already included in the price, and train you with what we can. If not, yeah, show you where third-party training is, and yeah, absolutely work with you on all that.
So
You wouldn't be, yes,
just
as a co-employer, you wouldn't be left out on anything. Sorry, Debbie.
I'm sorry, Michael. I interrupt.
You did.
I'm sorry. Smack me. So are you saying that part of the PEO normal charges that some certain things are just included?
Yeah. If yeah, we don't want you to have any claims. And so the long version is, if you have no claims, then we all are efficient in improving our business processes. So we will give you safety resources, training material in order for that to happen. So yeah, it's investing in you is not just investing in you, it's also in us, because we're the co-employer. So yeah.
Okay. What about you, Elijah? I saw you nod your head when I said TDA. Do you have any familiarity with that?
I have some familiarity. Just give you me and Michael's background. I've been in the insurance risk management industry for 19 years. My background is safety as well as insurance and risk management. So yeah, I do have some familiarity with TDA. The things that you're going to be experiencing from your side of it, because you are a niche market licensed by the state. So yes, there's compliant level based things that you're going to have to do. But a lot of times, most of those things are usually based around a larger scale of OSHA and EPA.
Okay.
So what as Michael was discussing on, one of the things, yes, you'll have a formal safety program from the corporate office. But things that, the corporate office may not touch on, that's one of the things that we would come out, particularly me for Houston, is come out, sit down with you, figure out what you need and what you want. If you want specialized training, like, for instance, I know you, from reading your profile, you currently only have one employee.
Well, we have one employee and one contract labor, and then we've just hired on someone else as that's going to be a full-time. So it's 3. Let's see if he shows up, because that's a common right nowadays. But
and those are the things we want to look at. Not only are we going to want to look at, when we come out, talk about assessments and, working with you on a quarterly basis or yearly, however we set this up, it's based on your needs, your wants, but looking at things such as, are you fully aware of your OSHA exposures? Mm-hmm. Most people, in business don't really deal with OSHA on an everyday cycle. So it's just making you aware of things such as requirements for safety equipment, requirements for medical equipment, making sure your employees have CPR training.
Okay.
Things like that. But then also too is like, when you do have assessments, when you do have those OSHA inspections, if someone does show up or you're expecting somebody, be able to train you and make sure you're aware, what to say, what to give them, how to be prepared. Those are the things that we're looking at from the safety side. Not only, yes, we want to keep your workers' comp rates down, but we also want to give you the ability to run your business in a manner that you feel secure with us.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess, from my perspective, it's more like a proactive approach. So we want to avoid getting into situations that we have to, work through, but actually prevent those from even happening.
And that's my personality type. I like to be 100% prepared for everything before, otherwise I feel like I'm losing control. So that sounds good to me. Trying to think if there's anything else. So I mean, I obviously want to be OSHA compliant, and then, I mean, I'm mentioning TDA so much here because that's where my headache lies, you know, because we're doing licensing and things like that. Would it be something that you'd be willing to do a consultation, even though maybe your main focus is OSHA, but
Oh, yeah.
like we could talk through requirements? Because I mean, all that stuff's available on the website, but sometimes you just need someone that has more experience to help you through it, I guess.
Yeah. And Brandy, a question for you. When we chatted earlier in the week or whenever it was, you mentioned that you guys bought the franchise around I want to say October last year, and then you became operational in April, and
Right.
it was around the licensing that
Right.
delayed things. What and when we talked, you were like, "Oh, my husband knows that."
Yeah.
What is that licensing? And that's more for me. I mean, Michael and
Right.
Elijah may get it, but what is that?
Well, to have a pest controller license, you have to have a certified applicator on your salary, and other people can. And we don't have a pest control background. My husband's oil and gas, and I'm interior design background, so we obviously didn't have that. So we had to pay a third party to let us have someone on staff, like a figurehead. He will come and sit with us on a weekly basis, and my husband had to pass an exam to basically be an apprentice. So he's an apprentice, and anybody else that works with us is an apprentice working under the certified applicator's license of the person that we've hired for that. So, and obviously you want to get that certified license, but you have to wait a year to take the exam, and that would be October at the earliest for that. So right now we're just kind of making sure that if we ever get audited, we would be able to provide whatever information we need and things like that. So that's where we are now. You have to have a year experience basically to be a certified applicator.
So, and this is a question for Michael. So as being part of a PEO, does that negate the 1 year requirement, Michael?
Well, I guess I'm not understanding what you're asking. Does it negate?
Well,
Meaning that she can avoid using that third party person for the next year. No, she still would have to use that person because
Okay.
he's a specific licensed person. It's kind of like it's almost like being an apprentice. Like you're saying, you have to be an apprentice. The state requires you have a year's experience from somebody who has the same industry experience. So you have to go through that year's process.
Okay.
And that's pretty normal to use somebody, even in insurance. It used to be in the heyday years ago, before you could get an agent's license, you had to have a sponsor, somebody who was an existing agent,
Okay.
to sign off on your application. So now they've mitigated to the way you don't actually have to have that sponsoring agent anymore. But for your industry, yes, they still require that year. And yeah, you would be stuck working with them. But, those are the things we'd be looking at is what are the risks? What are the contractual things that you're going to be obligated to make sure that, yes, if you get audited, that you're going to be covered.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I think the question, Debbie, you were asking though, since he's under the, I guess the license of another one negates the, I understand what you're asking now. I don't think, Elijah, I don't think you and I know the answer to that one, because whether or not it's under the initial contractor, it's his liability, or unless, was it Michael is your husband's name, Brandy?
Mm-hmm.
Unless Michael's operating on his own license now, or is he operating as Mosquito Authority then?
He's operating as an apprentice under the CPA license of the third party that we've hired, and we're under contract for 12 months. So October, the earliest he would be able to do that.
Okay, yeah. So Elijah was hitting to that earlier when he mentioned the contractual liability. So right now it's as if you're a 1099 under that employee for the licensing, but
Right.
still the regulation and violations would still apply to you as an employee, not necessarily to Mosquito Authority. So
Okay.
yeah, you still want to be caught up on all the regulation, all of it, whether it's OSHA, TDA. But as far as if you got a fine, yeah, I think it would go to that another individual, because you're operating underneath as an apprentice under him. So he has like control.
Okay.
care, custody, and control. But yeah, we would assist you with all of that. Absolutely. So I guess Mosquito Authority really doesn't assist with that. When you're a franchisee, you're really out there on an island.
Yeah, I mean, they helped us find the person, the third party. It has been a headache. He's not who I would have chosen. Expensive. A little dishonest of a guy, but it's what it is. What it is. We have to do it. But yeah, that's basically the gist of it. I mean, once this year's up, we'll be fine. We'll be done with him, but then the TDA they can ask for up to 2 years records behind. So that would be an ongoing thing for the TDA. But yeah, I mean, I think you've answered all my questions as far as that goes.
So Brandy, the agreement that you have with this third party, it ends in October of this year?
Yes. Well, as long as my husband passes, it does. And then if he doesn't pass, it would become a 13-month contract because they would help him study and get that 1 month of trying to pass it. Right. And then we could renew or not with them.
Okay. So Michael and Elijah, how can we help to make sure that the other Michael Kendall, passes?
Well, unfortunately, that's something, that's an industry specific kind of thing. And
okay,
I don't know a whole lot about pest application.
That was Debbie's ignorance asking.
Just a question for you, Brian, just offsite. You were just talking about this third party gentleman, because y'all are a franchise through Mosquito. Is he considered an employee of y'all's, or is he just a third party consultant that you're paying a fee to?
He's third party consultant. We pay a fee.
Okay. So he's not anywhere associated with your operations itself?
No.
Okay.
So yeah, that's.
Well, so you want to get rid of that expense, don't you, Brandy?
Sure.
I mean, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then I guess the rest I would want to ask is, this is about workers' comp, but also insurance in general, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm happy with what I have so far. Would you guys be helping me find lower rates, or what? How does that work?
Well, there's several different lines of insurance. When it comes to workers' comp, yes, and your rates would get lower the more you work with us. So the more we can do safety training, I think it proves that less likelihood of a claim. I think rates improve with us. But the other insurances to consider are general liability and then pollution liability. And does Mosquito Authority own the vehicle, or do you?
We have auto. Yeah, we also have auto.
Well, then I would want a commercial hired and non-owned policy. It's only $400, $500, $600 for the year, but it will insure an Mosquito Authority in case Michael gets in a wreck while on the job, because he will get sued individually, but then Mosquito Authority will, and you don't want them to be exposed. So right there's 3 coverages that I would consider: the general liability, pollution liability, hired and non-owned auto, and then possibly an umbrella. And personally, since you own the business, I would want to include personal umbrellas over your home insurance.
Okay.
So Michael, just for my own interest, why do you recommend the personal versus what you do on your home insurance?
No, not versus, in addition to.
Oh, okay.
So homeowners insurance actually comes with some liability, and liability is damage to a third party, whether it's bodily injury or property damage. But there's a small limit at, like, say, $300,000. Well, let's say Michael does get into a wreck while on the way to during work. Well, he gets sued personally, and if there's more than $300,000 there, there's nothing else there to pay, because homeowners will pay. Homeowners, They can get tricky because then the auto liability is going to kick in. They could deny, go to the auto liability. So if you have a $300,000 limit on your homeowners and you have a smaller limit on your personal auto policy, because commercial auto policies have $1 million limit, but personals do not. They only have to have the state minimum, which is less, like 50, 60, maybe $100,000. Well, a personal umbrella can be $1 million in coverage. So it'll go over the personal auto, it'll go over the homeowner. So if you do get in a wreck that caused more than 300,000 in damage, you can have an extra $1 million in layer protect you. My personal umbrella is $150 a year, but that's, I'm only paying $150 a year for an extra $1 million in coverage. So if I'm, hit somebody and cause a lot of damage, more than what my auto limits or business limits are, I'd like an umbrella. So I would recommend a commercial umbrella and a personal umbrella. And the personal umbrella is because you're driving a personal car on work purposes. I know this overlaps with business insurance, not trying to get into the personal side, but we're licensed in property and casualty and life and health as well. So that's why I mentioned the personal side.
Okay.
And so again, this is Debbie clarifying. So you mentioned Michael, Brandy's husband. What about the folks the full-time employees that are driving the vehicles? They're not covered? Are they covered under personal or just under commercial?
Well, their individual autos will be, but if they get in a wreck on company time, yes, they will have coverage individually, but the employer will be named additional in a lawsuit, and that's where you want a hired and non-owned policy. And so a hired and non-owned policy has a duty to defend all employees, auto wreck while on the job.
Okay, got it.
All right. Very informative.
Cool. Yeah, we could put together all your business insurance package for you, which includes workers' comp.
I'd love to see that, yeah, for sure.
And then also we can do payroll better than ADP and HR and 401k and all that and health insurance.
Okay, and I didn't pay him, Brandy. I swear I didn't.
No, I want to see it. I think, I'm sorry, my husband's not here, but he's going to be the one that you're going to have to sell to. But this sounds like a great idea to me because all this stuff is just so much to deal with. And it's nice to have, like when you go off on your own, you're the expert for every single thing, right? You don't have real experts. So
One I would add is on your workers' comp question, you're talking about how it differentiates with, currently you buy a policy through your agency, your agent. Difference with coming over here to the PEO side of it is when you first went to get your auto insurance, your workers' comp with your current agent, they asked you all these questions about, well, what do you expect your payroll to be for this year? How many employees? And you gave them an estimated number. So for example purposes, let's just say you said $100,000 in payroll, and they say it's going to be $1,000 for the premium. But let's just say y'all blow up at the end of the year and y'all went to $200,000. You end up having $200,000. What they're going to do is they're going to audit you at the end of the year, and they're going to say, "Oh, you actually had $200,000. You only told us about $100. You still owe us another $1,000."
Oh wow.
With the PEO side of it, you're not paying a lump sum up front. You're paying as you go. So if your employees are paying, you have 30 hours, they're charging you for the 30 hours on that pay cycle. So you're not going to be left at the end of the year, especially being a startup business. You're predicting, but you're not really sure. That's going to be the biggest differential, is that you're not going to get that surprise bill at the end of the policy period.
Okay.
And that's a good point, Elijah, and thanks for bringing that up. So Brandy, I'm it's all about cash flow, right? So if you pay as you go, there's two benefits. One is cash flow, and two is you don't have to worry about that reconciliation or that audit at the end of the year. You pay as you go, so it helps your cash flow, make sure that you're in compliance, and you don't have to deal with all of that. So just pointing that out. Good point. Thank you, Elijah.
All right. I don't have any more questions.
So I have a question. And you and I talked about your safety program, and you said we've got that handled. Mosquito Authority the franchise gives you all the tools I think that you need to make sure that you're in compliance. Would you kind of explain what that safety program is that they offer?
Sure. They do training for on-site training for the franchise owners, and then they do they provide safety data sheets for us to have with all the chemicals that we use, policies and procedures as far as cleanup if there's ever a spill, what materials you have to use, and things like that. Also, they have handbooks with all that information in it, and specialist training handbooks for the techs that do go out. And also, I guess they kind of they've done webinars that kind of prepare you for what an audit might look like, specifically related to TDA, of course, and kind of what you need to know.
Okay, so, and I'm going to ask Michael and Elijah, based on your experience, is this kind of a program, I mean, does it cover what we would consider, safety, proactive safety training?
Well, that for the chemicals, you need the manufacturer, the SDS sheets. They come with manufacturer's instructions. So some of that is what we would do as well. But yeah, we want to be consistent with it, not just initially. So yeah, the SDS sheets, the safety manual, we would have done that as well, but it's good to know those are already done. So from here, we would fill in the gaps with all the compliance that you need, and then the additional training. And every time you have a new hire, we can work with you and do training as well. So yeah, that's an overlap of what we would have done.
Okay.
Awesome. Awesome. Brandy, do you have any additional questions or questions that you think your husband would have that we haven't addressed?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe share this recording and I can send it to him and he can listen to us.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll make a note to share the recording. And then you and we're meeting with the other ESI groups next week. Is there anything else? Well, and Elijah or Michael, is there anything else that you'd like to bring up or, discuss with Brandy, plant seeds, things that she should consider?
Good. Come to ESI.
Yeah, one more thing for me.
Concerns?
No, would I be able to pick up the phone and call Elijah or Mike? Like, you would be my, you'd be my contact, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Elijah is in Houston, and we talked about this the other day. We're all about high touch and making sure that you have direct contact with the folks at ESI. You'll meet Kirsten O'Malley here in one of the calls that are coming up. Elijah is our representative in Houston, so yeah, you would have high touch, direct contact with folks, so you can get answers to your questions, immediately or as soon as possible.
Right, of course. And that's one of the things my husband's big on, is being able to just pick up the phone and call, because sometimes you do just need an answer right away, or you have something on your mind that time and it might go out the window. You're out in the field or whatever, you can't take notes or type an email. So yeah, okay, that's good.
Yeah, you would get the direct number to the whole risk team. So you wouldn't get a company number that you call and hit 1 or 2. You just get the direct number. Also, if email wasn't quick enough to just Elijah, you could email risk@EESIPEO, and anyone from the team is going to respond quickly.
Okay. Alrighty.
Name, please.
Well, it's nice to meet you, Brandy. Thank you very much.
Guys, thank you so much for your time.
Nice to meet you, Brandy. You have a good weekend. Let us know if you have any questions.
I will. Thanks so much.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks, y'all. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Good weekend. All right. And I'll send you the video, Brandy.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.